So with our lovely Miss M, our little Miss Mabel, we're going to do a little bit with the toy exchange game if she's interested. That was very nice. So when it comes to puppies, a lot of times, like we mentioned a little bit last time, is we tend to be the end of fun. So we tend to take items and take them away from them because they're probably dangerous or they're a choking hazard or they're inappropriate chew items. So a lot of times puppies are, of course, exploring their world through their mouths, just like a lot of young babies do. So especially animals will be exploring and checking things out with their mouths because they're trying to figure out what could be edible, what might be, again, a chew item, what could be fun to play with. So you'll see that right now I'm just warming up little Miss M with a couple lovely find its. It's one of my favorite games because as she comes and does a little check-in with me, so gives me some eye contact, I will then go and toss the snack as well, or even if she orients towards me. So my little one is off on the side there playing with some of the dog toys as well. So with Miss M, notice how she's able to hold her focus while there's some other lovely distractions going on. So there's the heat popped on. There's sometimes the other pups will every once in a while give a little woo-woo if they hear funny noise in the building. And then, of course, my little one is playing with the raccoon right now. Yes, nice job. So with this toy exchange game, what you're going to end up doing is you want to practice getting your babe, oh, that's very nice sitting, is you want to practice with your babes getting comfortable relinquishing or releasing items they're allowed to play with. Hi, Ebba. Do you want to come bring the raccoon over for our little Miss M? You can plop it down somewhere. Let her go grab that bad boy. She's like, woohoo. So if when you're practicing, littles want to help as well, I do like the toy exchange game because it can be really easy for littles to also help out with. So they could also have some snacks on them if they don't want to be intimate with the bitey end of the puppy or adult dog. Some puppies, again, are still working that mouthy behavior, very typical. She does have those lovely dagger-like teeth, which again are important for her to have. So as she's practicing playing with other puppies in her litter or with other pups or even some adult dogs, she can then start to learn how much pressure to apply, which might be appropriate. A lot of times puppies that are sometimes separated too young or didn't have litter mates or didn't get to be with their mothers for at least the first 8 weeks. Some of them will even stay till 10 to 12 weeks with the breeder or the rescue or whatever with their mothers. Those puppies tend to have much better bite inhibition than puppies that were raised single or without the mother or at times separated from their litter mates. So when it comes to other puppies practicing around her, that's why I love that she's also coming to the puppy play group, because then she's able to practice wrestling and figuring out what is appropriate play between her classmates, but also what would be appropriate, again, wrestles compared to something that could be a little too much or a little too overwhelming or too intense even for her or one of her playmates. So just like with us, if we don't go and practice within our comfort range novel things later could be very hard for them. And remember, the crucial socialization and window of learning and experiences and all that fun for littles will start to close around the 12 to 16 week age group. So this doesn't mean your puppy doesn't learn anything else past that point. But what it means is that if your puppy was a bit hesitant or was a little bit more open to novelty, you'd want to create as many positive but safe little experiences. Even if it's watching things off in the distance, it doesn't have to be intimacy. So what I mean by that is your puppy does not have to go and meet every single new person, dog, child, animal, inanimate object, because if they start to think that every time they see something new or interesting or exciting and it always equals go visit that thing, when later maybe that other dog is not dog friendly, maybe your puppy is recovering from an injury, whatever it might be. But if your puppy can't then go and get the engagement they were used to, what ends up happening is a lot of times puppies will build up frustration, and it can turn into what looks like a lot of leash reactivity at times or over exuberance. And then sometimes frustration, which can lead to displacement behaviors like, grabbing for the gear, biting at, your leg or your pants. So we want to make sure that her experiences are positive, soft, and comfortable for her comfort range and age group. So the toy exchange game, back to this lovely game, is you'd want to get your puppy comfortable grabbing for things they're allowed to have, letting go, and then going back into play or exploring another item. Yeah, she says, let's do it. So if, for example, your puppy tends to get very excited and doesn't quite know how to relinquish something, especially if it's something they're not supposed to have, how is that going to make sense to them if we've never practiced letting go in the first place? So remember, the benefit of this game is allowing your puppy to practice the behaviors you want them to get good at before you need them. So my little wild piranha right now, she's doing a great job playing with this toy. I could either go from her playing into a lovely little find it where I take a couple little crumbs. I might go get her attention and right into a little find it. So now letting go of this really cool toy equaled a nice little jackpot for her to letting go had value. Letting go does not mean the game is over. So a lot of times when they're grabbing the mulch, grabbing the sticks, grabbing the leaves, whatever it might be, the acorns, we tend to just quickly swipe it from their face and rip it out of their mouths. And you might be squealing in the background like, no, leave it, drop it. Remember that if your puppy doesn't understand, let's say English, you will want to, for example, teach them what it means to let go of something before it happens in the real world. So right here, very nice. I'm just going to even feed her for being soft and relinquishing the item and checking in. And then I'm going to have the critter come back alive. So movement tends to invigorate puppies and adult dogs too. So I would have the toy come alive. She's playing with it. And then from here, maybe I let go of the toy and now another toy comes alive. So now we could go from one toy to another and get her to practice grabbing and letting go of items that are acceptable for her to put into her mouth. Nice job, cuteness. What is it, my lovey? You're just playing with her duck or pheasant? I'm not sure what he is. So let's say, for example, lovely Miss M happens to grab something she's not supposed to. The benefit of this is notice how she's able to grab an item, play with it, but then also learn in that excited moment to let go. So now she's got some zoomies. She's going to run around like a wild woman. Woohoo! So remember too that if your puppy, nice, is again having a rough time with something, break it down into smaller steps, but make sure that her needs have been met. Does she need a potty break? Does she maybe need something to chew on because her teeth are bothering her? Is she maybe hungry? A lot of times puppies are sometimes a little underfed. And I find that if a puppy is being fed well as they're growing and developing, you don't have as big of a mouthy situation because they don't feel ravenous, if that makes sense. So because a lot of times when puppies are growing and developing and also working and changing and expending energy, they're using up a lot more reserves than obviously an adult dog that's done growing and now is just using food, of course, for maintenance and for longevity for us, just like usual. So again, we're going to go into a couple little find its. I'm going to go ahead and see maybe Mr. Raccoon could come alive and we come grab him. Nice job, cuteness. So if you were going to have littles practicing, they could easily pick up a toy that's not being engaged with, get that toy to come alive and toss it. Remember though, traction on the floor is important. So again, I might toss Mr. Raccoon, but you'll see that again, my flooring is rubber. So there's a lot of good traction for Miss M. So she won't be slipping and sliding on the floor. If, let's say, she was slipping and sliding, the problem there, she could hurt herself. So I know it seems kind of cute as they're flopping and slipping and being all adorable. But remember, for a lot of puppies, injuries can happen when they're young. And they don't understand exactly how to move, let alone on slippery surfaces. So imagine you were learning how to walk or ride a bike or do something, but it's on an ice skating rink. You're going to have a rougher time than if it was somewhere where you had, again, that nice traction. Ice is slippery, Ebba says. So with our little lady, you can see that throughout the practice, chewing is optional, like usual. So she was going and we're doing a couple find its. So the benefit of this is, oh no, what if, let's say your puppy did grab the slipper, grab the shoe, whatever the no-no item. Typically, you'd want to have those items well out of range because we want to create an environment where the puppy can't rehearse failure. So what I mean by that is if your puppy is constantly going for kid toys or for sneakers or for socks, then I would recommend to create a puppy safe zone where those items are well out of range or put away. She's like, yes, please. So that way, if our little Miss M, oh, okay, we'll get up a snack. I'll be right there, my love. Okay, you put her little toy away. So if, let's say, for example, your babe is able to rehearse grabbing those items and then being chased around, oh, chew them, madam, and being chased around, that could actually become more reinforcing than the drop it or the give behavior. So because if your puppy finally gets so much more attention for being chased, it could create a fun game for her. But then some puppies get overwhelmed because it always tends to equal you take the thing away from them. So practicing with items she's allowed to have and making the relinquishing and dropping of the item very beneficial means that when she does go to grab something she's not supposed to have, letting go is not threatening or spooky. And this can really help avoid gulping behavior and resource guarding. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier, like on Tuesday, about how when you have food or chew items and how to prevent resource guarding in the first place, but then also how we sometimes by accident create those problems because we don't understand culturally how the dog might, perceive our approaches or our working with them. So from here, Miss M, we could pretend again, oh no, let's say she grabbed this thing and it's the wrong item. Maybe it's a sock, maybe it's a slipper, whatever it might be. And you would ask for the exchange. I'm trying to see if I have something. Maybe we'll try Mr. Raccoon. So let's say, for example, here's the item. She grabbed the sock or slipper, and of course now she doesn't want to grab anything. But let's pretend she had it in her mouth, as opposed to me freaking out, being like, no, drop it, and chasing her. I like to quickly bust out. She's like, yes, do it right now, lady. So let's say, for example, I'm going to just put a couple little snacks in here just to keep her busy for a second. So let's say she grabs that slipper or sock. As opposed to going right into squealing mode, see if you can go and grab one of your snacks from your treat stations, which might be some nice little convenient bubbles that you can put Tupperware containers or Ziploc bags, but out of range for the puppy. And then you can have little bubbles where there's reinforcement stations that you could use throughout the day. It could be kibble. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You could do kibble with a couple other treats mixed in. So now the kibble starts to smell like the training treats. So now let's say, for example, oopsie poopsie, let's say this is her slipper, something that you're not supposed to play with that is one of your items. I could go and then get Miss M's attention and right into a find it, have her go do that, and we would then get the slipper out of range and move it out of the environment. But at this point, I haven't created conflict, I haven't created anxiety, and I didn't create a moment where I was then being the end of fun. So your find its are one of your favorite dance moves in the beginning. And then that can transition into a lovely name recognition with a check-in. But remember, if they don't know how to drop something yet, or if they don't even know the meaning of leave it, I wouldn't keep squealing the word and then either scare the puppy by mistake or confuse them that leave it means ignore the handler or the family member while you get chased around while enjoying that no item. For a lot of puppies, no items can be very much so like the items they should be playing with. So she has sometimes rubber toys, she has sometimes fuzzy creatures, and a lot of those can look like other kid plushies. They can look like your sock. They could look like your slipper. Some boots, same thing. They can be suede with like little fleecy or like furry part at the top. And that's obviously going to be a bit confusing to your puppy who doesn't understand the difference between a shoe and a dog toy. So try not to think about your puppy being right or wrong or in trouble or being good, but instead communication, in the sense of whenever she's giving you behavior, she's trying to tell you how she's feeling or what she thinks or understands. But instead of correcting behaviors you don't like grabbing the slipper, think, what would I rather, or how can I prevent her from failing in the first place? So Miss M did a really nice job with the toy exchange game. So I'm going to give her a little break from this, and then we'll work another couple skills, but she's doing splendidly again today.